Alrighty, guys, you can never say that crypto is not the most interesting market on the planet. I left, I think on Friday, markets were looking pretty good. And then Friday night, crazy wick came into the situation. And we saw a couple of altcoins take a little bit of blood over the last couple of days over here. We saw Phantom down quite a bit. We saw 𝗕𝗓𝗡𝗦𝗓 down a bit. So we're going to speak about 𝗕𝗓𝗡𝗦𝗓 as well. Is that finally going to be in the buy zone? Is it finally nice and cheap? But overall, we have started to see a little bit of a cheeky wick to the downside. Now, I spoke about a possible trap that once we broke all-time highs, they'll trap us. It looks like they trapped us slightly earlier. Now, there's a few things to pay attention to today, guys, and why we gotta, I'm here to bring the vibes, bring the energy to keep you focused in the markets, because you will get the odd days where things get a bit crazy, and we got to look into a few things. Was this something that was, news driven? Was it something that was maybe leverage was high? What's happening? Or are we starting a downtrend? What's the major trap currently in play? I do have an important trend line for Bitcoin. We're still currently holding it at the moment. So I want to speak about the major scenarios, but the main thing I want to speak about is stop selling your coins, okay? Stop selling. You know why crypto goes down? It's because a bunch of spinach hands, right? When it goes down, spinach hands, and then smart money comes and buys it up. Because I want to show you here. That created a little bit of panic. Now, if you look at the high time frames, not that big, right? Not a massive pullback. We've seen way bigger ones over the last couple of weeks. The question is it a start? What are they doing here? Why are we stopping yet again at these areas? But the more that you see people panic and start to worry, then you come over here and you look at this and you say, over the last 3 weeks, okay? Last 3 weeks, you could see an increase of 3% of the guys that are holding more than 10,000 Ethereum. The whales, okay? Look how they are increasing. Look at this. You are seeing a pure state of money going from weak hands to strong hands. Every big dip off, weak hands panic out. Every big dip off, smart money is buying. Now, it's crazy how all of this is happening before ETH ETF. And I kind of remember that we had a similar scenario with the Bitcoin phase as well, where everyone's meant to be bullish. We're meant to go to the moon right now. Why are we not going to the moon? And the flush outs come just before the action happens. I want to make sure you guys are not getting flushed out. I want you to be sitting here like King Kong today, having the strong emotions to be like, we've seen this before. Stay damn focused. There was a few coins that were expensive last week. RWE was expensive. It's looking pretty cheap today. THORChain was at decent levels, looking even cheaper today. There's certain coins that were very expensive last week that are becoming possibilities again this week. Stay focused in the game. So happy Monday to you all. I am happy to be back. No more wasting time. I need an intro, guys. Please, 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 please. Can we have someone make me an incredible intro for the show? That'll be fantastic. Let's go. Alrighty, guys, you're brand new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Guys, I'm back in the office, feeling good, feeling strong. Pop in the comments right now. Trap or real? I want to see what you guys are saying. Trap or real? And tell me why. Tell me why. I don't want to just hear the opinion. Why? Well, if this is a real pullback, give me your thoughts. I want to see where you guys are at and what you're thinking about. And if a lot of you like me are thinking it's a trap, and I do think it will probably be a little bit more, there can be a lot more traps can play out now, to confuse the market. However, it's crazy how this always happens before the unlock of institutions being able to buy crypto, buying ETH, and all of these things coming to play. It's crazy how all of these times happen just before that. And I remember this because we had that. Remember when the Bitcoin ETF dropped or the hit? Then we had about 3 weeks of red, and we actually had some fat red candles to the downside, and everyone doubted it. And all of a sudden we blinked, and then Bitcoin is back at all-time high territories, breaking all-time highs before those areas. Real trap. I want to see trap or people are saying real. Why? Why is it real? People are saying that there's maybe some things going on in the world. However, we've got FOMC coming this week. FOMC, I think, is going to be a big one. Okay, I do think it's going to be bullish. I think we're hearing news of it possibly being really bullish, but I do think it's going to play into big roles as well. So pay attention to that. We do have FOMC this week, and that will play a role within the markets. And again, we should find out some more news at some point of what's happening with the ETH ETF and things like that. So guys, let's jump straight into it. Let's get straight into the charts and then let's get going. We obviously saw a little bit of a dominance rip. Okay, I'll speak about the dominance rip in a sec as well. Let's quickly look at high time frames. So we look at high time frames at the moment. I'll quickly take away any of my drawings and what my analysis is saying at the moment. But nonetheless, you look at things like ETH, we're still not at that point where extremely bearish or any high time frame pullbacks. However, this is the third week in a row now seeing a little bit of red. And I think the question now is, are we going to drip back down to these major areas, or are we forming a massive bull flag and start to push our way through to the upside? We look at ETH, we look at things like Bitcoin. Bitcoin's still hovering there. We actually made a bullish candle yesterday. It's not a bearish candle just yet, okay? If this candle went fully red, we were possibly in trouble. And what I mean by trouble, maybe 60K, maybe 55K. Remember, everything that we are debating here about being bullish and bearish is probably to Bitcoin to around 50K if things get really bearish. We're not talking about 20Ks again or 10Ks or any of those crazy levels. However, we do want to time and make sure that we're entering and that we're strong throughout these phases and not getting too confused. So if you look at this, the first thing I want you to pay attention to again is we do have this RSI still hovering outside of these zones here. Now, what tends to happen, guys, is we tend to get slow moves in the beginning. So when we had the first crossing the RSIs here, slow moves. And as the RSI makes its way up, is when you start to get the acceleration. I think the question we're trying to ask here, does this thing want to come back in here? Do we actually want to go sideways for a little bit longer in that sort of phase? And again, there's a pros and cons to both the things of if we go sideways, and I'll explain that in a sec. Sideways, I don't like too much sideways because it might be a sell-off zone. It might be an area of where the whales are loading off on the tops there to maybe have a bigger correction to the downside. So I don't mind sideways, but I don't want to go sideways for too long. So I'll speak about that in a sec. Nonetheless, if this starts to turn its way up again and go up, again, it's showing the last little phase of the investment entries, things that are still possibly in investment entries. A few weeks later, let's push a few weeks later on, markets start to wake up, RSI starts to make its way here. You're not going to be finding these investment entries. You're actually going to be a little bit of a late buyer, a little bit of a late sort of phase. And again, anyone that bought over the weekend understands by the fear, understands by the desperation, understands that there was a bunch of latecomers that came in when the ETF hype came in, when it got approved, and they're all basically getting flushed out. So emotionally, again, you're still at that phase to buy some probably really good specials out there. And I want you to always have your thinking and your investment caps on when you're seeing that, okay? That, hey, these things were too expensive last week or a lot more in price last week. I can get them 20-30% cheaper right now. Plus, the next thing that I also want to speak about, colossal epic crash to 48K. Okay, we shall see. Let's go through both scenarios. Let's prepare both. I don't give a crap. My main thing is don't miss alt season. I don't care if we go through 100 dips. I don't care if we go 100 walls. Just don't miss when the money season comes. Do not miss it, okay? However, I do feel that this is just a trap that's in play at the moment. I feel that, we have very bullish news for both Bitcoin and ETH. And just before I think the ETFs will roll out and things like that, I think they confuse the market. I think they play around with things like that. Plus, you got to understand another thing, guys. Unfortunately, bull markets come with leverage. Okay, so again, when you see these fast wicks to the downside, they're there for a purpose. They're there to hit liquidation pools. They're there to hit areas to wipe out a whole bunch of people. And then you'll see it a lot more in the future. So you'll see it a lot in a bear. You'll have the squeezes to the upside. And in a bull, you'll see the sharp wicks to the downside. However, you need to always have some sort of cash. So for me, it's an example of when markets go up now, your portfolio is doing killer this week. It's doing fantastic, right? I think it's important to at least start to free up 10-20% cash when you can and make sure that you have them for the dips. Whenever you see these fast dips where you see 25% happening in 4 hours, 6 hours, things like that, it's a perfect time to buy, and you'll see how quickly you go back into the green. Okay, so just remember that when it comes to these bull market phases, you are increasing the leverage. You are going to have these wicks at times, and they do come at any random sort of point. So let's go in here. So when it comes to high time frame, not too bullish, just not too bearish at the moment. We actually had quite a good weekly close over there with the green candle. Therefore, for me, if we do hold certain levels, and I'll speak about those levels now in the show, we should actually see a continuation of green back to the wall. I always said that the 73K wall shouldn't be as strong as the previous one. I'm slightly wrong about that. Looks like the 73K wall is very strong. It looks like this is where they are really trying to hold the areas. Again, it's going to be like a popcorn. The more times we hit, eventually we're going to pop. And when we pop, we probably won't stop for a long period of time. And it's very similar to these areas here where we hit, stop. Eventually get through it and you can't catch it. It just flies extremely very quickly to the upside over there. So we're not too worried just yet when it comes to the high time frame sort of views. Now let's zoom in and start to get a little bit of understanding of, where the market's at and what we're looking at next. So the first thing I want to quickly show you guys is the Bitcoin chart. So what I did is I took these closing. Let me just put this in here. Sorry, this trend line is not correct here at the moment. There we go. Okay. So as you guys can see, hold on. 12-hour chart. I just want to get the right chart. There we go. Okay. So the 12-hour analysis chart. So what I did, guys, is I'm tired of the wicks. I see wicks all the time. So for me, a very important thing that I shifted my mentality over the last, couple of days is I'm using a lot of closing candles now. Because for me, the wicks are not giving me true like accurate data. It's actually manipulated data. I don't know about you guys, but Friday feels manipulated to me. Feels like, it literally manipulated the market, shook them out. Smart money bought the dip, and everyone else panicked out. It's just a normal rinse and repeat. And I was actually a little bit sad driving this morning to the office. I was like, crypto was one thing that people had. Now we have these institution monies coming in, and we have the stock market guys coming in, and they're just sharks. They come out there, they don't give a crap about people. They just wick them out, destroy them, and they continue the journey. So I was a little bit sad on that point. Nonetheless, what you got to understand is now you're getting to the point where the market's probably even getting more fussy. It's even getting more stingy now. And what I mean by that is I believe that 20% is going to make 80% of the money in this market. I think that's going down to around 15, if not 10. I think that the smart money is only getting bigger, and there was only getting bigger. And I think the retail guys, the ones that are actually going to give away money in this market is getting bigger too. So we just got to make sure that we are on the winning team and that we are batting when it comes to winning team, because I can guarantee you any new people coming in or any early people that are in the market, they're not buying these current dips at the moment, yet smart money is. So just keep being focused that you want to be part of the 10 to 20% team. So long as you do that, there's a lot of money to be making. Mark said he bought today. Fantastic. What did you buy, Mark? I want to know what you bought. Bought some GME. Oh, Roaring Kitty came back hot. How's that? 600 to 700,000 live.
He lost
$240 billion. He lost. No, but he's got balls. I like balls. I like when you come in there strong. Okay, so closing candle. So now that I say that, I'm taking all of the 12-hour. I'm using 12-hour charts, not too low at the moment, because I want to know. I don't want to get shaken out. I don't want to look at the wrong data now and say, oh, we bearish, things like that. I want to make sure if we are going to pull back and we are going to make some big decisions, it needs to 100% be in that way. Got no more dry powder. Me either. But my trading accounts are going. Okay, so if we look here, closing candles, we're actually above trend. Okay, so what that basically indicates for me is we will have a little bit of a warning sign if this is going to continue. So what I think is going to happen first is I do think we're going to have a little push up in the market, and it's going to be very important where that high ends. If we get a lower high than what we saw over here, I do think there is a scenario of another leg to the downside. This trend line will help you over here, okay? So what that basically looks like is if we saw this wick that happened a few days back, there's the wick over there, boom, big push to the downside. What they tend to do then is they slow down the market. Now, remember, you got two options here. It's either going to build a bear flag and continue for another push to the downside, or it's going to do that inverse Bart-Simpson, right? Where from here, we're going to then push up. Then the question is, if we get a lower high over there, start to make our way down and lose this trend, then we got to start looking at a little bit of the lower targets. Now, I don't have crazy targets to the downside. I still have 66K as a very strong bounce area. And I also have $62,000 as a very strong area too. This trend line will be the one that will indicate that for you hey, start looking at maybe a little bit of bigger correction. Now, all you're going to do in that time, okay, is you're going to be quite obvious in a sense of making sure you have some sort of money to buy if we do decide cheaper. We're not promised that this is going to happen, but if it does, what can I do to get something at 66? What can I do to do something at 62? May that mean putting a little bit of your positions with a stop loss so that if it tanks hard, because remember last week I think I gave many altcoin trades, remember, but I put stop losses under every single one of them. I gave you guys stop loss, and if you got stopped out, you would have maybe lost 5 to 10% on your trade, but you would have bought 20% more tokens because of that stop loss. Stop losses are good if you get stopped out and you buy back. That's what it's there for. It's there to get you out. So if you were up here and you had your stop loss in, it would have stopped you out there. You would have taken the small loss, but you would have got to buy over there. And that plays a very big role in the future when the market goes up again, is that you've got a better entry. Instead of making your 500%, you can make an 800% just because you bought 20% cheaper of the actual token. This is the powerful thing. So again, if we start approaching this line, and and we do start to show a little bit of bearishness, have something or some sort of plan to have cash that if we go to 66, you can get a better entry on tokens. And if we go to 62, we get better entry over there. So we'll have this nice little early sign here of this trend line to help us with that. And again, not a wick. I'm looking at a closing candle. Closing candle, that's the one that I'll pay attention to as the early signs of maybe more downside if we decide to close below those areas. Then we also, again, have the high points over here. Lower high indicates we might come down again. Okay, and then obviously you got the bottom, and I'll speak about this now, which is the bullish side. Now let's go look at the bullish side of things, and then I'm going to jump into the dominance and the total 3. Here's the bullish side of things. Okay, it's actually zooming into the initial flag that we are currently in with Bitcoin. So if you see the flag over here, we actually got many of these lows sitting in here. We're at the bottom of the range now. This was here just for leverage. This is the scenario where this just came and flushed a bunch of leverage out, which usually means that we go sideways and then we start climbing the ship to the upside. The only thing that, again, will take away any of those bearish thoughts of mine of 66, 62 is obviously breaking the highs. Breaking the highs, finally turning that through and pushing to the upside. Nonetheless, guys, I think there's a few opportunities here. So anyone that's short-term trading, remember, guys, we got the BitGet competition going as well. I actually entered on Friday in a trade, and I had a 12% or 14% stop loss. And because of that wick, it took me out for like 30 to 40%. So I'm on road to recovery of little bits now. However, I'm in trades right now. So the ones that I've entered now is because I'm taking this little bounce over here, guys. Why am I saying there's a bounce? Because if I look at a couple indicators, guys, 12 hours sitting flat at the bottom. If we look at 8 hour, let's see how 8 hours looking. 8 hours sitting flat at the bottom. There's a temporary bounce coming within the markets. So I'm definitely interested in buying something in this area here. And again, if we don't make the low highs, I'll TP out on them. But I do think for any short-term traders, and I'll look for some trades here for you guys quickly. I think there's some trades. So here we go. There's the massive wick. Okay. And again, if we are bearish, we're gonna bounce first, guys. We will definitely have a bounce. But then the high is very important. So again, like this, for example, on DOT, you can see the massive push to the downside. Now you can see we're trending sideways. Okay, so what do I do initially? I track the initial trends here. I wanted it to go sideways for a while, track the initial trend here. The break of the trend here means I can enter the actual trade and pop a stop loss at the low over here. Yes, guys, I will be doing a live trading this week. I promise. Let's let the market just give us a good day where we can sit for 4 hours. Right now, I think you'll enter and you just got to be a bit patient. But nonetheless, this is where you want to enter. Secondly, what you'll see here is another trend. Okay, you'll see the main trend that's tracking the top over there. That'd be another point to add to the trade. Then what you do is you take a fib from the top to the bottom and you'll get the main 618. And what that basically means is it's still the bearish line. But what I'm expecting here is the market to actually push up to these lines, the 618s. And again, if we start to push down here, then we got to really prepare for the next possible downside. However, we can also have the scenario of this going straight through to the top over here. Okay, so for me, I'm definitely looking at a couple of trades, and I'll show you which ones I'm looking at. Immutable X, there's the trend coming in. You see this trend popping through here, I'll be entering, popping a stop loss over there, and your main 618. Guys, these are nice 10, 20% trades to the upside. Okay, if this comes into play. Guys, I'll jump back to the high time frame stuff now, just for any short-term traders that are paying attention here. Look at things like Link. Short-term break is over here. Okay, there's the high there, and there's the TP zone over there at your main 618. So this is where you'd enter the trade. This is where you put your stop loss. And as it makes its way up and breaks this line, you're then updating your stop loss and you're taking profits. Any money that you make today, guys, I would take profits and get out. Take any money on the table right now. Until we are sure that there is no more downside, take every single bit of profit you can. And I'm talking on trading accounts, not your long-term accounts. Trading accounts. Your long-term, you're here for the bull. You've packed your bags. Sit on your hands now and just be patient. Okay, in that sense. But anything to make cash, I'll be taking advantage of any of these fast dip-offs over here. Another one that also looked pretty good was COTI. So keep an eye on a COTI one. It's not ready yet, but it breaks that trend. You're definitely looking at a nice push-up from COTI. So there's a couple of good short-term trade opportunities here for you guys. There's Phantom. They all show in the exact same thing. So just be aware, guys. I would not miss some good entries today in the markets, especially for some short-term gains to the upside. Okay, let's jump straight back in over here. So that's the bullish scenario there for me, that this was a trap. We trapped everyone out, smart money bought, and from here we go to the upside. So we'll soon know. When Bitcoin's going to squeeze is above 70K. It will squeeze pretty quickly, probably to around 71, maybe just above, and then we will see where we're at that point. It would actually be nice if we're sitting at this area by FOMC. If we could be sitting anywhere back and recovered by FOMC and things go good, finally that may give us the juice that we need to push to the upside. Now, the one thing that's slightly concerning is obviously the Bitcoin dominance. Dominance ripped pretty hard, okay, and it has a strong bounce out. I don't know what happened on Friday. When it comes to news or what happened or what it basically is, we were looking at it this morning. What was it? You know, what was the real thing? But nonetheless, we saw a dip off, and I like to look at it as possibly an altcoin capitulation. okay, where it was basically just there to bruise the altcoins. Because Bitcoin's still sitting at 69. It's not like it's sitting at crazy levels of the thing, but the altcoins got a little bit brutally hit pretty fast. And you usually get those altcoin spikes when altcoins are about to rally. So what they do is they know that everyone gets hype around, okay, alts are going to pump now. So what they do is they send it down, completely flush out the market, and they send it up. And therefore, anyone that gets destroyed in the flush comes and buys back a lot later. And it's a simple rinse and repeat method that we've seen many times. When's Mama Sniper coming on? Mama Sniper's retire, bro. I want Mom to live on a yacht now and chill. Like, she's worked at butter for her whole life. I want her today, but I will get her on. I promise I'll get her on. But she's in Sniper Club. She's in Sniper Club, and she shot a very cool margin tutorial that's coming. Very cool. It's gonna be amazing for you guys. You're gonna love it. But here we go. So we got the Bitcoin dominance still sitting under that major trend. Okay, and I do have this little push trend line at the top here. So what does that mean? It means if I'm looking at we've had a Bitcoin pullback, dominance went up. So therefore, altcoins bled a little bit more than what Bitcoin did, right? However, when you get the bounce now, it looks like we are going to get this to come down a bit. Okay, so it means the altcoin bounce will be pretty good. And looking at a couple RSIs here, the RSI is sitting at the top. So if you look here on the 12-hour, it's sitting at the top. Let's even look at the daily and see where the daily is at. Daily sitting at the top too. So this push up in dominance, I don't think it's going to last too long. And again, it's probably coming down to the ETH chart, right? Coming down to ETH and ETH Bitcoin as well. Let's just get this in. I see I'm frozen. You can see me, huh? Okay, you can see me. So I'm waiting for my chart, guys. I don't know why my chart is not loading. There we go. Okay. And there we go. So here we go. We've got the ETH BTC hugging and sitting right above the trend line too. So at any moment now, this was definitely a higher high for me. I'm still seeing the ETH push to the upside over there. So I don't think this dominance rally that's currently happening right now, I don't think it's a long-term rally. I think it's a couple of days. I think the market was a bit spooked, so everyone jumped into Bitcoin. But I think as the market starts to rise again, I do think we're going to have everyone flying back into the altcoins. Here's the ETH chart. ETH's not showing any massive bearishness at the moment. It actually only, remember the first time it pumped to 4K, it actually had that wick down to 3.5. It actually only started coming down and maybe filling those wicks. So what I'm noticing, guys, is a lot of alts weeks back had a dump. Remember that dump off? I think we were in Dubai when it happened. They created these massive little wick areas that were sitting in these zones here. Okay, so a lot of these alts are actually coming down and filling those wicks. And I'll show you guys a few examples of them. So if we look here, let's just go down here. Here we go. So things like DOT. There's the initial dump that happened a while back. Do you see all these wicks that were filled here? So sometimes what they do is they send price back down into that liquidity wall. Again, no retail's buying here. Retail all buying the little pumps that are going up. Nonetheless, you got to find the smart area of where people are buying. You can see here for the last while when it comes to DOT, this has always been the big area. So what they tend to do is sometimes price bounces too quick and they don't get to fill all the orders they want to. Who am I saying by they? The smart money behind this token, whoever wants, the big money, right? The big wallets. I don't want to become a conspiracy theorist and go through. I've seen a couple of guys being taken down recently because of it. But nonetheless, this is where we're basically at when it comes to, these zones here where we are losing short-term trends, but maybe we're filling liquidity. Okay. And again, the bounce will be showing this. So if you see a lot of these tokens, they actually had really good areas. Like to buy some COTI today for your spot makes sense. To buy some DOT for your spot, makes sense. Things like 𝗕𝗓𝗕𝗓𝗓 sitting back close to the range low makes sense. Things like Chainlink back at $16. You're getting a lot of these, even this nice little wick over here from DOGE. I'll speak about these plays in a sec, but nonetheless, you could see that we're back at the range lows of these tokens. So I don't see that much more downside, when it comes to these major plays, but only good areas to be adding to your long-term and your spot portfolios here. Remember, I don't look at these things as terrible. I look at them as blessings. Like I can go look at my portfolio today and see where I can actually buy tokens that I couldn't buy before. And, I look at it where I can. Now, I know a lot of people are also fully in the market, and I get that, okay? But you got to start playing it a bit smart now. You got to understand that selling on the dump now is a mistake. Okay. However, if we start to lose the Bitcoin trend, maybe free up a little bit to buy back cheaper, or on the next pump up, free up a little bit of cash. Just use this because these wicks are not going to go away for the next couple of weeks, guys. The next couple of months, you are going to get the crazy wicks that come through. Nonetheless, they're actually good areas. Gala came down pretty hard, back at the range lows. So you can see it within a lot of these tokens. Now, let's go back. Another chart that's also going to help you guys see if there is a big correction or not is this chart here, the USDT dominance. So remember I spoke to you guys that we were here And I said, hey, we should see downside. We saw downside. Now we're pumped up. We're sitting on this trend, guys. So keep an eye here. If we start to get daily closes in the next day or two, and we start to clear this important box over here, let's say this starts to push up and clear this box, that for me then indicates, okay, we could be seeing a 63, 64K Bitcoin. Right now, we're hugging it. We're actually on it as resistance. It should actually do this. Nonetheless, but do keep aware that this chart will probably help you a lot when it comes to that. And let's go to total 3 because this will just round up all the altcoins in general. So why am I not worried just yet? There is the main bullish line for the altcoins. It's actually the line to buy. Okay, every time we have touched this line, it's been a time to buy and add more to your portfolio. We are now entering that box again. It does indicate we can also go another 3-4% lower and still be on top of those areas, on top of the major trend. But you never sell support. Support is a big trap. Get you completely sucked out. This is where you should actually be buying. So until we are below here, I'm not looking at massive downside. I'm only looking at right now, this is leveraging the market. It's flushing out the market, doing its simple thing that it does all the time. We know that the ETH ETF is coming. We know these things are happening. So what do? They confuse the crap out of the market before it all happens. Like, I'm not seeing any major signs that, hey, altcoins are going to come down 40%. Over a good period of time. I'm not seeing any of those signs just yet. And again, the stochastics have never lied for me. As they start getting to the exit and they start to push up, they've always been really good. So pay attention to this, because every single buy that you're focusing on now, remember, today is a day to go work on your portfolio and to take 1 or 2 small trades, short-term trades, no problem. But it's a day to pay attention, because in your head, what you've got to think about is the 2 scenarios here. Again, I've spoken a lot about risk in the show. We know where to, if this starts breaking here, okay, guys, like, hey, free up a bit of cash. We're going down hard. Okay. Then don't be afraid of that, because then we're going to buy a lot cheaper and therefore makes more money to the upside over there. But then what you're going to look at as well is this bouncing now. Let's look at the bullish scenario. Bullish scenario is we bounce here, takes a few days, maybe it's FOMC, and we crack through there and altcoins finally get going. Remember, the longer they hug the trend, eventually they separate from the trend. So when you see something is holding a trend like this, for a long period, at some point it separates from the trend. And then we know when it separates, it comes back later on. So we've been hovering these trends for a while. At some point, it's going to separate. If it doesn't break the trend, it's going to separate. So as long as it's holding support and we break this trend up here, every buy that you're focusing on here can be the massive push to the upside and the massive run we've been waiting for to the upside. Yo, I need some water. They can add, but no, not the bad army. I agree. Guys, let's be honest. The only guys that got smashed on Friday was the leverage guys. Yeah. Other than that, no one else got smashed in the market. No one cares, of where we're at. People are just bored in that sense, but it's just leverage. So you have to, unfortunately, as a leverage trader, guys, you are entering the hardest market in the world, and you're 10xing it, 20xing it. You just have to put your big boy pants on. You'll get wiped one day, and you got to learn how to get up and fight again for the next. Take your profits, make yourself more lives, learn to work with it. Leverage is not long-term wealth. Leverage is short-term money. That's basically exactly what it is. Long term, that hardly got affected. Things are down 10, 50% of that. No, nothing massive over there. Just the leverage, guys. So just pay attention to it, guys, and fix it. Fix it to the point of making sure you're ready for that. Okay, let's go through here. So Injective's still holding trend. So as long as it still holds trend, we can still see definite good upside over here. It's actually but getting to support. So Injective's good areas. Things like Chainlink came through, made a higher high. It hasn't even broken 6.1. It hasn't even reached 618 yet. So this thing could actually go lower down and then still have a really strong bounce. You could see on all of the current coins, I've put the trend line in. So pop the trend line in over there and keep that trend line in mind, because if we start holding these levels and push through, we're not that bearish here, guys. No lower lows just yet or any major signs. But this is obviously not all altcoins. This one, a little bit weaker, Mutable X. Okay, so remember, if you break the trend, it means you're coming down to the horizontals. Okay, so then you got to look at the major areas. This has obviously been a strong area of where people have been buying Immutable X for a while. So that's more likely where I'll definitely want to get something. And because we lost the trend, what I'm looking at is something like this. Now, again, guys, if we don't get through those highs, it gives us an indication that could maybe happen. But I first want the bounce. I first want to see where we bounce, where we lead up. And it's going to teach you a very valuable skill as an investor in the market, that you only make decisions when the markets are green and when they're going up. Okay, even if you bought something that's over here, okay, and it starts to go a little bit in the red, the only time to sell it is once it's dumped, retested. That's where you sell. You don't sell on the dump or sell in anything, the retest is always going to be the area. It's teaching you to sell green, confirmation greens, all of these sort of things. Otherwise, you just get flushed the whole time and it gets quite tough. So things like 𝗕𝗚𝗚𝗕𝗓 is at a good buy zone now. Let's see where the high goes. Worst scenario, things get really bearish. Again, I'm seeing altcoins come down around 20-25% to the next areas. And this will be the zones of where you top up. Things like DOT at the range lows. Okay, over here, again, this is definitely an area of where to load up some for your spots or your long-term bags. If it's bearish, it'll do something like this and go to the next horizontals. But I don't see 50%. I see 20-25%. And if we even do, this might have been the lows, right? But just pay attention. So DOT's at a good area. Things like COTI, still holding. Okay, still holding. If it does decide to lose here, it goes to the range lows. Again, 20%. Okay, nonetheless, I'm not afraid to buy here because it may not go down. Okay. Again, I don't mind fighting redness or losses. I just don't want to fight wins. I don't want when the market's winning and doing incredibly well, then I'm trying to make money. Like I should be making money. I should be in. Okay. So that means I mustn't be afraid when there is specials and when we are at red areas. Things like Illuvium actually held pretty good. Still sitting in the zones. Things like Phantom, cheeky little wick. There's my 2 plays on Phantom. Strong bounce from these areas here, all these closing candles, strong bounce, or we drop a level, go to around 55. Good area to load up if that happens. Here is MATIC, bottom of the range. Not seeing anything crazy at the moment over here. Things like DOGE, there's my 2 plays. We bounce hard here any moment now. That's why I'm a little bit long on DOGE at the moment. Or there is a wick down to around the 12-13. And that would be the next push. Guys, smash the like button. Smash the like button. Let's go through here. Okay, quickly, I just want to give you guys, I want to give a quick shout out here to Commonwealth, one of our sponsors. They do have something on at the moment. I just want to pop this in here. So guys, you can now stake your Commonwealth tokens. Remember, I've been speaking about Commonwealth. This is all part of the VCs where you're able to get into projects. Because you're a Commonwealth holder, you can get access to early tokens that are coming to the market, and you can actually be a part of these. So when you stake your tokens, you can earn rewards. The current APY is 1,600%. Massive, guys. So if you do have any Commonwealth tokens or you like Commonwealth, go stake them. Okay. Also, BitLayer is the Alpha Fund first investment partner. Check out the link below for more details, guys. All below in the description over there. Shout out to Commonwealth. Love the guys very much. Here is my 2 plays on AVAX. Strong ass bouncer, and we're in now. And there's a little bit, maybe a wick. Again, 10-20% if that happens. Things like Gala, horizontal lows. Okay, so I know, guys, last week we were bullish. Things were crazy. But these wicks, when they come, you got to pay attention to where they're at. I just kind of feel, and I remember this. Remember the last bull market when we sat in 2020? You know how long they aggravated me that, is this actually going to be a bull market? Do you remember? Because we were in it. We were in it from when Bitcoin was going from like 4K all the way to 10 to 13K, back to 10 to 3. And then we went up over months, guys. I think it was only 10 months after that I joined Banter. Then we only went into bull and things like that. They make it seem like it takes forever. They make it seem like it's not going to happen. Like, I remember I sat this morning, I'm like, this is exactly the same feeling that I had that time, where it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. It's all a bunch of junk. Like, it's crazy, guys. Here's things like Solana, actually really bullish. Sol's really good. Worst scenario, we go back to 120. I think it's great, but Sol here is looking really strong. There's support. If we break that trend, Sol's on its way. So Sol's definitely reacting as one of the best tokens. There's things like GRT, still in major trends. I've given you guys a block if things get worse. Casper rockets, like hardly any pullback on Casper. Yeah. So it just shows you that, yes, one token may outperform many other tokens, but do you see that why you fish with 20 tokens now? Because one of your tokens will pop, and then the other one will pop, and then the other one will pop, and the other one will pop, but you're sitting on something where the dip doesn't even matter anymore. If you bought any, when I told you guys to buy 12, what does this dip matter to you with Casper? Nothing. Doesn't matter anything at the moment. That's why you're fishing in many buckets, because every coin will have its day. Things like Render's getting a bit cheaper. Render's sitting on the main support trend here. Main. So I'll dip my toes a little bit in Render here. Keep an eye out for $7 if there's a wick. I don't think the wick's today, guys. I don't. I think it's maybe 2-3 days. Maybe a little bit later on the week if it comes. I don't think it's yet. I think the market's going to slowly grind up now for a couple of days. Okay, Thor Chain getting cheaper. It had a little break last week, pushing back down, coming back to around the $5. And I always said around $5 is actually a decent area to load up on some Thor Chain. Make sure you watch my show on Friday. I gave you guys my targets. I showed you that There is a scenario of a 200K Bitcoin. There's a 150, 100, 150, 200. There is a scenario of a $25 RUNE. There is these scenarios. So go look at that show, get inspiration of where these coins could be going, and then look at, are they in good areas? You know, are there good risk to reward levels to be buying them? SUI, breakout on the retest zones over there. BNB pulled back just to the breakout. No major warning signs or anything there at the moment. Things like THETA, back at the range lows. Good area to be loading up some. Things like CETUS, back at the range lows. Okay, things like FLOKI, it's still too expensive. It's still too expensive. Memes did well. Memes did absolutely very well. This one's too expensive, but I think PEPE is at a little, maybe at these areas. Arbitrum, guys, they're going to unlock this week, so probably pulling it down. However, I think it's a steal. I think around 90 cents for Arbitrum. I think you're going to make a lot of money in the future. That's the one. I'm telling you, we're getting near the bottom here. I think this is a really, really, really good one. Arbitrum back at 90 cents. Crazy good levels. Another one here as well is RWeave straight back onto support, guys. RWeave at a decent level. You know, last week, couple of weeks, this thing was sitting around 46 to 48. Now we're sitting back at around 38, and it's back on support. So a good area to load up on some RWeave. You know, RWeave's been expensive. It's obviously one of the top performers. Here's another token that I think is going to rip hard. Higher risk part of your portfolio is Chiliz. I think Chile is going to have a strong rip, guys. I've been seeing some good things around it. And seeing it pull here, I'm seeing this thing pull very quickly here. Like, this is something that I'm looking to hold a couple of... Why I'm telling you this? Because I'm buying some today. I'm looking to hold this for next around about 6 to 9 months. And I'm looking at around 3 to 4 to maybe a 5x when it comes to Chiliz. So I'm taking advantage again. You know, red days like this is a day that I go look at my portfolio and I go look at what I could fix, what I could shift, what am I... You know, what do I have too much of? What do I have too less of? And I go and I fix it. Fear and greed still sitting way in the greed over here. And I wanted to actually see, is there any other of those ones? Okay. Then I want to show you guys this as well. Let's just bring this back. These are still my 2 overall plays, guys. So where I think we go in the next couple of weeks, these are my 2 plays. My 2 plays on Bitcoin. Okay. My 2 major. My bearish one is we go down to 56. There's my bearish there. Take it now. Think about it. You know, your choice. Like, get over it. This is what could happen. Okay. That's my bearish view on it. My bullish view, again, is we are fighting this damn wall. The moment we pop it, we are going to 84 very quickly. I then think there's another trap coming. And then I think there's a pop to the 100K mark. So these are my 2 overall plays when it comes to Bitcoin. And then if you want to see what happens to altcoins, is you just follow the damn ETH chart. And the ETH, there's my 2 plays on ETH. So ETH, you could see I don't see any lower low on ETH. The worst scenario I see is around 3233 if that happens. But if I look at these things over here, these are my 2 plays on ETH. Right now, I only see a bull flag. And again, an ETF will rock this thing through the roof and it will tank the dominance incredibly hard over here. Okay, guys. So what can we see this week? This week, we're going to see a live trading. I'll do a live trading with you guys. Tomorrow, I'll go through a whole bunch of your tokens. So go below in the description or in the comments here and go comment. On this video, what tokens you want me to chart tomorrow. I'll do some of that with you guys this week and then day by day. And I'll be doing FOMC live as well with you guys. Let's do it. And guys, let's just catch rhythm. Stay involved. Drink your damn coffee. I don't know what it is. Keep watching the shows every day. We get through the little dip style and soon we'll be making a lot of money again. So just do me a favor. Do not get flushed out. That's my main thing. They're flushing you out. They're taking your coins. Stay focused and the money will return soon. Have a fantastic day and I'll see you guys. Oh, is he? Yeah. Oh, FLOKI's on Brandside earlier. Oh, cool. Fantastic. Shout out to him. Okay, have a fantastic day. Much love. Ciao.